Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into a truly mind-bending document. It's a deeply spiritual proposal aimed right at global leaders called The Divine Force 123 and Human AI Coevolution. And it attempts something incredibly ambitious, literally trying to fuse rapid, cutting-edge tech with ancient Eastern philosophy. You can feel the urgency just reading it. It's an appeal delivered straight to the heavy hitters, the heads of the G3, the Nuclear Nine, and the G20 nations. Why them? Well, because they hold the keys to our immediate future. The proposal is basically asking these massive global powers to embrace a total, radical shift in how we handle technology, global diplomacy, and honestly, our collective existence before it's simply too late.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for this appeal. We're going to cover A. Civilizational turning point, conscious aspirational intelligence, the UTB-UMA-UD framework, universal holistic diplomacy, corporate spiritual responsibility, and finally, Conscious Introspection Day 2026. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. A civilizational turning point and the stakes for humanity. To really grasp the solutions this document proposes, we first have to look at the massive problems the author says are forcing this exact civilizational shift.
So the author points out that humanity is facing four massive simultaneous threats. We're talking climate instability, rising geopolitical tensions, the ever-present shadow of nuclear risks, and the explosive, totally unpredictable growth of artificial intelligence. And the real kicker? The author argues these aren't just isolated issues, they are dangerously converging. Just think about it, how rapidly evolving AI could be used in warfare, potentially ratcheting up geopolitical tensions, or, worse, accidentally triggering a nuclear escalation. And at the exact same time, the massive energy required just to power AI data centers is compounding our climate instability. Together, these intersecting crises are fundamentally reshaping human existence. We are standing at a critical crossroads where doing things the old way just isn't going to cut it anymore.
And this quote absolutely nails the core thesis. Technology alone is not going to save us. In fact, unregulated, purely profit-driven tech is a huge part of the problem. To navigate this turning point, the author says we need way more than just technological advancement. We need ethical wisdom, collective consciousness, trust building, and real global cooperation. Basically, we have to step out of pure technical problem solving and into a space of profound shared moral responsibility.
Moving on to Section 2, Conscious Aspirational Intelligence, or CAI. Rethinking AI. If artificial intelligence is our biggest existential wildcard right now, how exactly do we tame it?
The proposal lays out a really radical evolution here. It argues we need to move away from standard artificial intelligence, which, historically focuses almost entirely on raw processing power, efficiency, and capability, and consciously evolve it into what they're calling conscious aspirational intelligence, or CAI. The conscious part? That means actively hard-coding awareness, planetary responsibility, and strict ethics directly into the foundational software. And the aspirational part aims for wisdom, compassion, and peaceful evolution, instead of just disruption for the sake of disruption. It's an open invitation to co-create a future where machine learning is aligned from the ground up with the highest good of humanity and Mother Earth.
Section 3, the UT framework. This is the philosophical core. To actually pull off this massive technological and ethical shift, the author introduces this deeply spiritual, three-dimensional philosophical system.
These three acronyms make up a fascinating transformational continuum. Let's break it down. UB stands for Universal Brotherhood, or United Beings. This is square one, infusing conscious codes and collective harmony at the ground level of human interaction and software development. Moving up the chain, we get to UM, United Masters, or Universal Mind. This acts like an ethical bridge connecting humanity, spirituality, science, and responsible AI governance. Finally, that bridge carries us to UD, Universal Disarmament and Universal Destiny. This points straight toward the ultimate goal of a harmonious planetary future that is completely free of weapons of mass destruction. It's a system that perfectly links the micro level of individual coding and local harmony all the way up the ladder to the macro level of total global peace.
Now this is where it gets incredibly deep. The author maps universal physics, spatial dimensions, and Hindu deities into these interconnected trinities of cosmic balance. Look at how the first dimension focuses entirely on creation, from the generator to the deity Brahma to the electron and atomic physics. Then, the second dimension is all about balance and sustenance. This pairs the operator function with Vishnu, the preserver of the universe in Hindu theology, and maps them to the stable positive charge of the proton. And the third? That's transformation through dissolution. The destructor, Mahesh or Shiva, aligned with the neutron. The document uses this symbolic mapping to make a really profound point. Just like the physical universe absolutely requires these three dimensions to function without collapsing, our technological and diplomatic systems need a similar, intentional balance. You just can't have pure creation, like endlessly generating new AI models, without an equal force of ethical balance and a controlled transformative structure.
That brings us to Section 4, Universal Holistic Diplomacy, or UHD, and Global Trust Building. Taking those cosmic principles down to the gritty, geopolitical level, the document calls for a total evolution and how nations actually interact on the world stage. The author identifies a massive trust deficit as the absolute root cause behind why past global dialogues, climate pacts, and disarmament efforts keep failing. To fix this, they're proposing universal holistic diplomacy. Imagine an era where international relations step far away from zero-sum strategic competition and endless proxy wars. Instead, the focus shifts entirely to ethical dialogue, compassionate cooperation, and shared ecological liability. It's a completely holistic approach. The argument here is that you simply cannot negotiate geopolitical peace without also negotiating ecological balance and conscious tech standards at the exact same time. They are all one giant intertwined ecosystem.
Section 5. Corporate Spiritual Responsibility, or CSR. The corporate shift. But hey, this holistic approach isn't just for governments and diplomats. The author argues that the private sector must undergo a radical transformation of its own.
This requires a total rethink of traditional human resources. The document suggests that standard HR departments should gradually evolve into departments of consciousness. Seriously, think about that. Rather than just managing payroll, optimizing productivity, or putting out internal fires, these evolved departments would focus explicitly on corporate ethics, the true mental well-being of the workforce, ecological liability, and cultivating conscious leadership. It's a direct call for the spiritualization of corporate culture, demanding the companies start taking responsibility for their spiritual and ecological footprint, not just their carbon footprint.
To actually guide this corporate shift, the text lists specific desired traits, mapping them directly to figures from Hindu theology. The core idea is that technical progress has to be anchored by ancient spiritual virtues. For instance, you need Krishna-like wisdom to guide your corporate strategy, but you also critically need Mahadev-like detachment. And what does detachment mean in a corporate boardroom? It means prioritizing long-term planetary health and ethical boundaries over the relentless pursuit of short-term quarterly profits and individual greed. It also calls for Hanuman-like devotion to your team's mission, Shani-like justice in corporate governance to ensure fairness, Vishwakarma-like creativity for sustainable innovation, and Sri Ram-like honor in every single business dealing. It's just a fascinating, deeply moral blueprint for ethical capitalism.
Surprisingly, the author finds real-world inspiration for this in some incredibly diverse places. Take the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, for example. The author views it not just as a mass transit system, but literally as a symbol of public meditation. Millions of people moving in synchronized harmony, punctuality, and collective peace. Then they acknowledge this eclectic mix of billionaires and tech CEOs, from Elon Musk and Sundar Pichai to Warren Buffett and J.R.D. Tata, alongside global organizations like ICANN. The author points to their massive efforts in infrastructure, philanthropy, and entrepreneurship as glimpses of what's possible when we actually begin aligning immense technological power and wealth with a much larger sense of human responsibility.
Section 6. Conscious Introspection Day, 2026, the call to action. Let's see how all this sweeping philosophy and global mapping finally culminates in a very specific, time-bound request for the global public.
The document outlines a strict, highly ambitious timeline. It all kicks off on May 21, 2026, which is designated as Conscious Introspection Day. Following this, the author proposes a symbolic dialogue window in the summer of 2026, suggesting that India, Vatican City, and Japan might lead the way in rebuilding global trust among the major world powers. And why those three? Well, the author views them as unique, historically significant hubs of global spirituality and post-war technological reflection. All of these stepping stones are pointed straight toward one monumental final target, achieving a completely WMD-free Earth by the year 2034.
So what exactly is supposed to happen on May 21, 2026? The author specifically asks every single global citizen, researcher, corporate leader, and diplomat to dedicate exactly 9 minutes to conscious introspection. Just 9 minutes of collective global focus on ethical AI, nuclear risk reduction, trust building, and peaceful coexistence. Honestly, the sheer synchronicity required for this is staggering. It's an appeal for billions of people to stop at the exact same moment for a worldwide exercise in mental alignment. They're essentially attempting to reboot humanity's collective ethical compass through shared silence. As we wrap up this explainer, we want to leave you with the author's ultimate reflection, which is deeply inspired by the Bhagavad Gita. It's a provocative question that sits right at the very heart of this document. As our technology and artificial intelligence race forward at breakneck speed, can we collectively align to the vision of one humanity, one consciousness, one destiny, and harmony with one Earth? Ultimately, we have to ask ourselves, can our internal consciousness truly evolve fast enough to keep up with our external creations?